In this video, we're going to talk about what programming is and then move to Python in order to start Python development and talk about some available libraries. So I'd say programming is a process of problem solving. So basically, you might encounter a problem, and using the logic that is in your head, you're going to implement computer programs using programming languages. So as the computer cannot understand human language, maybe ChatGPT can, but your computer itself cannot understand your language. So we are using programming languages such as C++, Java, or Python that can be interpreted into a machine language that machine can understand. But since the human language itself is so far away from machine language, we are using this medium, which is a programming language, in order to represent your idea. So let's assume that I'm going to solve a algebra question in French. So you have to explain that in French. Although you have a complete logic in English or whatever mother tongue that you have, in order to translate it in French takes time and effort. So same thing happens when you are representing your idea using programming language, although it uses English for many of the comments. So it is very natural to take some time to get used to writing code. So a lot of times I found that people get frustrated to learn programming, but as it takes some time to learn a foreign language, it requires practice in order to you get really familiarized with. That means that you need to practice every day, try to solve at least a problem a day until you get used to it. So you might have this learning curve that will take some time until you get familiar with, but at one point it will plateau. And the key here is that you have strong logic and problem solving skill set in order to be a good programmer. Then let's talk about Python. So Python is the most used programming language for data scientists. It is a scripting language. If you know about Java or C++, it requires compile, which is that before you're running your code, it will compile your code, and if it has any errors, it's going to throw it. Whereas scripting language, it will run code line by line, and then during your runtime, if there is any issues there, it will throw an error. So for learning Python, there might be several interfaces that you can use. The pythontutor.com is one of the websites that you can visualize what is happening on the code level. And you can also use a Unix command line interface to execute Python's .py file, but it doesn't have any interact mode there. Whereas Jupyter Notebook, it is using a browser interface. So you're going to launch a Jupyter Notebook and it will pop up on your Chrome or whichever browser that you're using, and it provides some interactive mode there. And we can also use Visual Studio Code, which is an application for programming. And if you want to, you can also use Amazon Web Services. It has a SageMaker Lab that you can use in order to program on the cloud, or Google Cloud Platform has a code lab, and you can also write code in an interactive mode as well. And Python can be written in two different extension formats. Generally, the Python on the production side uses a .py file that includes lines of the comments in there. And you can execute it on your terminal by typing Python and your code name .py. IPython Notebook is supporting to use a Jupyter Notebook or Lab or Visual Studio Code that is more for experiments in many cases, that it provides the interactive UI that you can write a code and it gives what is the output of your code right away. So let's look at all those available interfaces one by one and try it out. So pythontutor.com is a website that you can write a Python or JavaScript, C++ code in there. And if you click Python, you can edit or execute code without having any of the software on your laptop. I guess currently the most recent version of the Python is 3.6, so which is a little behind. But good thing about using this interface that it gives the variable information and then how it changes it when you're executing your code there. So let's say I is 0. So what I'm doing is that initializing I as a 0, and until I is less than 10, I'm going to add I by 2. And then I'm going to click Visualize Execution. And then here, I is 0, and if you hit next, I is still 0, and then next, I is now 2. Now I is 4 in the next iteration, and I is 6, I is 8, and then when I is 10, since it is greater or equal to 10, which doesn't satisfy the condition here, it is going to end the code. So as you can see, you can use this interactive mode to kind of see the variables. And we can also use a built-in command line interface, in our case, a terminal, to execute our code. Since we install Python, also already Python interpreter is installed, and we can simply type in Python in your code name there. And you can also use the Python's interactive mode by typing Python, which we did in the day 1 session. But the problem is that it doesn't save the comments that you just executed. So here, if you type in Python, it will show you this triple arrow, and then this is an interactive mode that you can type in your code. So let's say if I is 0, and if I type in I, it shows the output of I, while I is less than 10. I would say I is incremented by 2. And then I'll print I, as it is not showing the intermediate values. So as you can see, it is returning the output here, right? However, once I quit, it doesn't save any of the outcome. Okay. You can also run the Python code by typing Python and then your Python code path, and it's going to return all the print statement. Okay, so this is like a general way of executing a Python code. In our case, I'm executing the ex02.py file. But another way that you can also use the interactive interface is using a Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab. In order to start, you can type in Jupyter space lab. If you don't have it, you can always install conda install Jupyter. That will do the job to install the Jupyter. Once it is installed, if you type in Jupyter Lab, it is going to use your web browser as an interface. So as you can see here, here are folders that you can browse through. And you can always create a IPython notebook. And here you can name it. Then you can write your code there. I is 0. And then you can run. If you type in I and run it, it gives the value. While I is less than 10, I is incremented by 2. And then if you execute it, it's going to return all those output. So you can have some intermediate output that you can browse using this IPython notebook. And you can always save this, keep the changes, okay? To finish the Jupyter Lab, you can hit Control-X, Control-C, and it's going to shut down the Jupyter server. And it also has some keyboard shortcut that I added a link there if you want to use the shortcut there. But one other thing that I want to introduce is the VS Code, the Visual Studio Code by Microsoft. So Visual Studio Code is an integrated development environment. We call it IDE. And VS Code supports many languages, including C++ and Java, but also has an extension supporting Python. And it has a strong capability of writing codes and debugging and running the code, and even choosing something called virtual environment that we're going to talk about in the fall semester. Then you can run both IPython notebook and .py file, and even you can run the terminal commands without launching Jupyter Lab kernels. So you can easily run IPython notebook without typing anything on your terminal. In order to install Visual Studio Code, you can always install through Brew, but also you can go to the Visual Studio Code download page and download it and install. So you can hit Mac, and then it will download on your machine. Then you can unpack and then install it. So in my case, I already have a file, so it says Visual Studio Code 2, but it will appear as Visual Studio. My recommendation is that launch on Application tab. You can also just search application on your computer, and then move the Visual Studio Code onto your application, okay? That way, you will see Visual Studio Code on your application, okay? And then we're gonna add this Visual Studio's path on our path environment variable. So in order to add this path into your environment variable, you can do vi zshrc if you're using a Z shell, as we talk about on the day 1 video. And then I'm going to hit I and then add the path that I just copied in front of the what I added last time. But make sure you add this column in order to separate them with the previous one. So now I have application Visual Studio Code.app, and then you're going to do a /contents, resources app/bin. This was recommended by the Visual Studio Code, so make sure to add the contents resources app bin, which I noted on our slides, and then hit ESC colon WQ, and I'm going to source CSHRC. Okay. Now I'm going to launch Visual Studio Code. You can double click it. So it may look like Visual Studio code. And you can also look at this walkthrough and get started with a Python. I highly recommend you to go through this to like how you can create the file and then select the interpreter, run code for debugging, explore the resources to get familiarized with it. Okay. And here you can also install various extensions if you hit this button for extension. I'm going to add a Python extension for the first time so they can understand the Python. Okay, make sure to install it. And if you need, you can also add other extension as well. So the benefit of using the VS Code is that it is open source and it has a wide range of extension that you can incorporate so that you can easily use anything related to Python or other programming languages as well. So before I move forward, let's talk about Python module, packages, and libraries. So there is some hierarchy there. Module, when we call it module, it is a single simple Python file ending with a .py. Whereas package includes multiple .py files. And this whole packages are initialized by underscore init underscore .py file. So this is the starting point to create the packages and start the packages. Library is higher than package, which includes a collection of packages. And when we talk about installing some packages and libraries, generally we are installing library. So for example, pandas or scipy or numpy is a library. The terms and packages library are often used interchangeably. Theoretically, I guess a package is a subset of library. So library includes multiple packages. So some of the useful libraries and packages that you use as data scientists includes NumPy for mathematical functions, SciPy for scientific computing, Pandas for data manipulation, scikit-learn for machine learning, Keras TensorFlow, PyTorch for deep learning, Matplotlib and Plotly for visualization, Scrapy for web crawling, Beautiful Soup for parsing HTML pages. So those are some of the most often used libraries and packages and you will encounter throughout this program.